A report this morning alleges an intelligence officer who worked for Democrats on the House Intelligence Committee warned FBI investigators California Senator Adam Schiff authorized leaking classified information over the Russia collusion hoax back in 2017. Well, joining us this morning to discuss this latest headline in that collusion conspiracy scandal is former FBI special agent in charge, Jody Weis. Jody, good morning to you. This latest information is allegedly from an FBI interview back in 2023 when that whistleblower said that Schiff called this all-staff meeting, and in that meeting, Schiff said the group would leak this classified intel because it was derogatory to Trump and would be used to indict him. Of course, this information, as we now know, is false, but what did you make of this allegation to begin with?
You know, Jan, I feel like I'm in another chapter of a Robert Grisham novel. If this is true, this is absolutely shocking. Leaking information is a crime, no doubt about it. Leaking information with the intent to smear a president, with the intent to perhaps indict a president, that should terrify every American in this country, regardless of party. If you think about it, though, I say I'm shocked, and maybe I'm not, because it kind of aligns with the referrals from Tulsi Gabbard, all with the intent to undermine an incoming president. So what I'm going to think interesting about this, just think if this allegation, when they do the investigation, can somehow be tied to the allegations referred by Tulsi Gabbard, then you have a conspiracy. And then the statute of limitation is no longer an issue. So I think as Americans, we just have to be patient and let the investigators follow the evidence. But this is a shocking revelation.
Yeah, and I've not seen where Schiff has responded to this, although it is past the statute of limitations. However, it does come at a time when he's also under investigation for mortgage fraud allegations. Timing, not good for him. Speaking of timing, though, last week FBI Director Kash Patel fired several senior bureau members, including the former acting FBI director. But you say these firings were long overdue.
Yeah, I think a lot of people thought these were going to happen right away. You have to keep in mind, to move a member of the senior executive staff, the director will have to wait 120 days. You just have to do that. But when you look at some of these people, you know, some of them just had to go. Now, there may be smart people that will disagree. Some will say this is going to be the demise of the Bureau, losing all this incredible talent. To those people, I say absolute nonsense. Got to keep in mind, most of these individuals were probably eligible to retire. And there's a quote from Winston Churchill who said, "The graveyard is full of indispensable men." But what we saw going on in the Bureau for the past 10 years, Jan, it cannot happen again. Politicalization of the FBI cannot happen. And for change, you have to have a team that first recognizes there are a need for change. And I'd be willing to bet most of these people fired thought everything was just fine. And then once you get that team in place, they have to be willing to commit to make that change. So I think this had to happen. Can't have any question marks. The future of the FBI depends upon it regaining the trust and confidence of the American people. And that starts with leadership, and that starts with changing the culture.
Didn't you do something like this when you became superintendent of the Chicago Police Department?
Yeah, that was pretty controversial. When I got there, I talked to a lot of people. I read a lot of reports, and I just felt like I had to make a change. So about 1 month in, I moved 21 of the exempt personnel out. And just to make a clear message, actions of the past are no longer acceptable. But then think about it. If you've been doing something for 30 years and you believed in the system, how in the world can you suddenly adopt a new philosophy and go 180 degrees out? It can't happen. So changes had to be made.
I want to ask you about some changes coming to Washington, D.C. The police force now under federal control. How will the FBI play into this?
Jen, I wish I was an agent in D.C. right now, because this is going to be fun. For 30 days at least, they'll be running task forces. They'll team with the MPD. They'll be going after fugitives, all the hotspots, some of the open-air drug marketing. They're going to make criminals' lives in D.C. miserable, and hopefully that'll have a change. But the big problem is, Judge Jeanine Pirro brought up, is the juvenile crime. The laws need to change. If you've got a 14, 15-year-old that's killing people and you can't charge him as an adult, that's a big problem. So who knows how this may play out in the end? Maybe home rule will go away. But I think it's going to be an exciting time for law enforcement in D.C. because the handcuffs are going to be taken off, and they're going to be pushed very hard to put an end to this crime, which is just outrageous in the nation's capital.
Former Superintendent, Chicago PD, and retired special agent in charge at the FBI, Jody Weis. Thanks for joining us this morning. We appreciate it.
Thank you, Jan.